It's a privilege to talk to you today, and my focus is on tradable energy quotas, which I heard about through Wise Response some years ago, and Nathan Surendran and Jack Santa Barbara particularly. These were invented by an amazing economist called David Fleming, who wrote a book called Surviving the Future. He also wrote a book called Lean Logic, which I have on my bookshelves, and I have instructions to my family not to destroy it or give it away, but to read the damn thing, because it'll be good in the future. So if we could go to, can I go to the next slide? Here. Okay. So what is this tradable energy quotas invented by David Fleming? It delivers ensuring fair access to everybody for fuel and for energy. Quotas is the same as rationing, basically. I lived as a child in the Second World War, where we took our ration coupons along with our money to the shop to buy our sugar. And of course, petrol was the main thing that my parents wanted to buy, as well as the food, which was rationed in New Zealand. But we're going to ration fossil fuels. Now, why, you say, are we rationing fossil fuels and not emissions? Well, because fossil fuels are the main problem. We're still globally, over 80% dependent on fossil fuels for energy. And it's rather scary. And the reduction of fossil fuels will actually bring down emissions, and surely it will. It also empowers communities and builds a common purpose. I'll get into that later, but that's one of the most important things, and it's the biggest contrast to the emissions trading scheme, which is not bringing down emissions fast enough. We, according to Peter Victor, in his book, what's it called? Escaping Overshoot, he says globally we've got to reduce emissions by 9.7% a year, every year, till 1930 at least, to meet our target. Okay. Right, this is how it works. We have a quota, a national quota, and it comes down every year. Right, it's organised by a registrar, and all energy users have to produce their ration tickets along with their money. Now, it's only when you buy fossil fuels, so it's not every trade. It's when you buy petrol, diesel, gas, or electricity, which has a small fossil fuel component in New Zealand and large in other countries. Right. Now, first of all, the registrar and those in charge have to work out what percentage of fossil fuel users are individuals and households. In Britain, they took it as 40%. My calculation, and I'm willing to be corrected on this, is it's somewhere around about 25% for us, and that everybody gets a free ration, free quotas every year. And it comes down every year. You get a whole year's worth at once for a start, and then after that is topped up weekly. And because it's going to be less next year, you are all the time planning for how you're going to manage with a lower quota of fossil fuels next year. Right. Now, citizens who use less fossil fuels will be able to sell their quotas to the registrar. And those who want more will have to buy more ration tickets. Rationing only works if there's the market, otherwise there's the black market. Afraid so. Right. It's all done through the registrar. But, so, oh, thank you. Oh, well, that helps, doesn't it? Oh, God, my eyesight. Okay. So only your utility bills and petrol and, and of course, if you're a tourist, you have the option of using cash. And there's embodied energy on everything we import. I'll get onto that in a minute. But there's a clear signal for all products and services without, I can't read it, sorry, without, sorry, okay. We'll get into the next one. Now this is the main slide of how it works. You can see on the right is what you're surrendering. So if you take from the bottom right and go up and round, you have to surrender them when you buy petrol or gas or electricity. So it's only a few times a year, like less than 20 probably. It then goes to the registrar, who issues a certain amount every year, and I've got 25% you're entitled to as an individual. You get a ration every year. The rest have to pay. Now, the rest means businesses, organisations, local authorities, and central government, and any other agency that's operating outside those. I think they have to actually pay for their, and unlike ETS, the price doesn't have to go high. If everybody's adjusting, there is not much demand for techs from registrar, and so the price stays low. But if people don't adjust, the price goes up. So very unlike ETS. With ETS, it's politically going to be impossible because every government no government wants the price of petrol to go up. You've seen it several times recently. Governments resist putting up the price of petrol. It is no good politically. So this whole thing comes in a circle. Now that's basically all tradable energy quotas are. Now, has it been, let's get on to the common purpose. Because everybody's working to plan, how do look, I'm a woman who works in Otaki, and I live at Live-In. Right, I travel every day to my work. I work only part-time, and so when I'm going to get less next year, I will have to find a job in my own hometown. And so it will have a major effect on relocalisation. Transport will be reduced, and everybody will plan to reduce it. Right. I've said that before. Heavy energy users, owners of helicopters, private planes will be restrained. Frequent flyers will find the airfares go up because Air New Zealand has to buy extra rations. It doesn't pretend to fix inequality, although it does do a little bit. And we do get competition from imports. And so basically, like the EU, we have to have a carbon tariff at the border. Now that's a whole matter for discussion, and I don't intend to get into it now, but it is important to protect our own things. So there's the summary. There's the ETS on the right and TICS on the left. And you can see the complete contrast. Whereas nobody in the street, you don't talk to people on the street about the ETS system. You will be talking to people on the street about how you're going to reduce your tax next year. Now, it has been considered in England, and it was considered in 2010 to be ahead of its time. And some economists probably from some government department put the kibosh on it because it would reduce economic growth. So there's a problem. We have a political problem in introducing it. Everybody is pulling the same way. Everybody has a common purpose, and it brings out the creativity in everybody, and it absolutely fast-tracks all the other things we want to do in degrowth. I think that's all I want to say. There's a lot of questions that will arise from it, but that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you.